We are in front of the Israeli School, Universal Practical Knowledge, the Philadelphia Division, here at 3226 Cheltenham Avenue in Philadelphia. We're standing in front of the school right now, getting a description of the 12 tribe sign that's been painted by one of the brothers that was in the school: Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Simeon, Zebulun, Ephraim, Manasseh, Gad, Reuben, Naphtali, Asher, Issachar. Those are the 12 tribes of Israel.
Shalom. Shalom. You've been waiting for this day, so this day has finally come. A lot of you have been wondering where this knowledge that you've been hearing is coming from, and the powerful truth that you've been hearing, how this was established. Well, we finally were able to arrange for the priests to come down from New York and spend some time with us. And I'd like to introduce them if I can. These are some great brothers. We're very glad to have them with us. We want to make them feel as warm as possible, because this is their work and the extension of their work and what they've laid down some time ago. I'd like to introduce, first of all, priest and Sixth Shield General, 4th in command in the nation of Israel, Lahab. I'd like to salute this brother. March up. Barak. Yeshabim, which means sit. And I'm going to turn it over now to Priest General Lahab.
Good morning, brother. I'd like to say this, starting off, we're very impressed at your school here, and we're very impressed to see that the brothers and sisters in Philadelphia think enough of the Most High and the Bible and the truth and your nationality to be a part of this, because most of the brothers and sisters are running from the truth.
What's going on? Shalom, Israel. Yahweh Shem Yahshai Brakathum. Yahweh Shemal Atham Bashim Yahshai. I'm Priest and Officer Shari Wana, the Commanding General Yohana. We are the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. I got with me the mighty Priest, Officer 500 Ahabawan. What's going on, Priest?
Shalom Yabashim Yahshai Barakatah to the brothers. Yahweh Shemar Lataba Hashem Yahweh side to the sisters. Like my other one said, we are the ISUPK. Started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. And we're here to teach our people, Blacks, Native Americans, Hispanics, who we are, and teach them the truth according to the scriptures, according to the true word of God, according to this Bible. Right, unlike your Christian pastor, we're not gonna get you hyped up, get you jumping around, doing backwards flips and yelling and screaming and running down the aisle and saying "Bobo Kamoshima," whatever the heck they be saying. No, we're gonna teach you the truth, man. I was watching somebody send me a thing of their church the other day, and all you hear is the pastor, she have the Bobo Kamoshima. I'm like, what the hell is Bobo Kamoshima? Right? Right? I feel the spirit of the Lord here. No, you don't. What she's seeing is her pockets getting fatter. She done got these people acting all emotional.
Right.
Got them drunk off lies, right?
Mm.
And now since they drunk off lies, now once you get a drunk man, you can lead a drunk man right into a hole and leave him there. He won't even know. He won't even know where he at. And, you drop him off in that hole. Guess what's gonna happen when he wake up in that morning? He won't know how he got there.
Right.
And that's what's going on with the Christian church right now. Somebody is leading your drunk ass to a hole, and you got in that hole, and you don't even know how you got there. You can't ask the pastor for no food, right? You can't ask the pastor for no, if your rent and your lights, gas about to go off, you can't ask for no money, right? You can't ask for no help. But the Bentley parked outside.
It's funny, Abawan. I got a story on that. I had an uncle who he attended a church, same church. I don't know if he was there like 30, 40 years. And as he got older, he's passed away now. But as he got older, I guess he was having a little troubles in and out the hospital. And so this brother went to his church, the same church he'd been paying tithes to for like 30, 40 years. And all he asked them for was if they could help him buy some shoes. And that pastor looked at him and said, "I'm sorry, we can't help you."
We can't help you.
Yeah, and it's like, you know what I mean? I don't know everybody's story, but to think you dedicated 40 years to, a place, and after 40 years of your hard-earned money in this fucking hell, Abawan, you can't even get some damn shoes from your pastor.
Look, my grandmother was with Church of God in Christ for at least my whole life. So that's at least, about 30 years. And when she passed away, it was cheaper for us to do her funeral at another church.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, so that's the Christian church. If you could grab from me, Abawan, Isaiah 34:16. You know what I mean? Because a lot of what you said was so heavy. And, one of the reasons why we as Black Hispanics and Indigenous should value the ISUPK so much. Like tonight is Monday night history class. We got Tuesday night brotherhood class. Wednesday night, we got scripture breakdown, brotherhood, law, you know what I mean? La Shawan Kwadash, all these different classes. And, we're giving these classes to give knowledge to Blacks, Hispanics, and Indigenous, just to give them a little piece of heaven in this hell. You know what I mean? If you could read that verse for me.
This is Isaiah chapter 34 and verse 16. Seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read.
Come on.
No one.
If we seek the book of the Lord, you know what I mean? Like you would get the fruits that you see in the ISUPK. I've seen brothers in this school, you know what I mean, addicted to drugs for 20, 30 years, get in this school and, put that shit away.
Right.
I mean, brothers who, shout out to our prison program doing so much amazing work. You know what I mean? Helping brothers that are in prison, helping them get out of prison. You know what I mean? Once they're out, we got prison expungement programs, just all sorts of different things to help our people. And we do that from the knowledge of this Bible. You know what I mean? Like we got our family members and, brothers, sisters, friends inside that Christian church. And you have no idea, your nationality. When it tells you in Genesis that there's 17 different nations on this earth.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? Like, how come your pastor never told you that you're blood descendants from the children of Israel? You know what I mean? How come your pastor couldn't tell you, who the Chinese are, who the East Indians are? You know what I mean? They don't know who any of these nations are.
If I may, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
How come your pastor ain't tell you what Bobo Commotion mean?
And that's you know what I mean. That's part of the reason I brought this verse up. You know what I mean? Because if you did seek out of the book of the Lord and read, you would see that garbage is nowhere in this book. You know what I mean? It speaks about speaking tongues in the New Testament, and if you were to just read the goddamn dictionary, you would know that tongue just means language. You know what I mean? Many, Old English words or Old English, they would use the word tongue just to say they're speaking a different language. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean, you're speaking some dog or baby language saying gaga, goo goo gaga or whatever. You know what I mean? Like these brothers who had a gift of tongues meant, they can speak different languages. They can speak Spanish, Hebrew, Assyrian, English, French, whatever, Spanish, whatever different language that there are. You know what I mean? A brother with the gift of tongues, he can, speak and interpret different languages. You know what I mean? You read the goddamn book about speaking in tongues, you would know that, it's pointless if you don't have an interpreter. You know what I mean? It's just like, making loud noise and nobody understands what the fuck you're saying. You know what I mean? It's pointless. If we would just come to this book and read, seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read, you know what I mean? We'd be in such a better place. If you could finish up that verse.
He said, seek, right, and read. That's right here what the scripture says. Right? It says, seek ye out of the book of the Lord, right? So the book of the Lord, you understand that Lord, if you look at that scripture, the Lord is capital Lord. So it's talking about the Most High, right? This is his book. What other books say this is the book of the Lord? No other book says that. This book says it's the book of the Lord. It says, not just seek it out and read, right? You got so many people talking about pastor said, but did you read what the Bible said? You know what I learned when I got involved, when I got into the ISUPK, right? Not even when I got full-fledged in, when I just got involved, I ain't hear pastor saying no more. I ain't hear such saying no more. All I heard was what the Bible say, such, right? What the scripture read is such, right? You don't hear, Captain Dariala said such. No, this ain't Captain Dariala book, right? This is the Most High. You hear Captain Dariala say, hey, the scriptures read such. Scriptures say such, right? You don't hear nobody here talking about, well, pastor said, even though we give honor to Commander General Yohana, you don't hear people say, oh, well, Commander General Yohana said. No, the scriptures say. From the top to the bottom, the scriptures say, right? It says, and read, no one of these shall fail. None shall want her mate. For my mouth it has commanded, and his spirit it has gathered them. Verse 17. And he has cast. Oh, that's it? That's it?
Yeah, that's it. Just that verse there. You know what I mean? Like it even ended with saying, my spirit has gathered it. I mean, how many times have we said that, this isn't just some man-made book. This is men who were inspired by the Most High, you know what I mean, to write these records down. And these records were collected and compiled, you know what I mean? And they were put together in what we call the Bible. I think Bible means collection of books. You know what I mean? And so that's what we have here. And this record is, by far the #1 selling book on the earth. There is no book that has ever sold more copies. You know what I mean? This has been going around in circulation for thousands of years. You know what I mean? This is the most powerful book that you could purchase. You know what I mean? You think about going to college or university, how many thousands of dollars you'll spend on some expensive book to learn something. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
Book. I had an engineering book that cost me right at $800.
That's right.
Right. I think it may have had 500 pages in it.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? 500 pages in it. That's it. So when they have a 500 pages and the thing cost me $800, I'm like, man, that's more than $1 a page.
God.
I
God.
better learn something off this book. Who we got? We got some people checking in right now, sir. Want me to shout them out?
Yeah, if you could read it, go ahead.
We got Masha out of Juan. Y'all about to Sharp Rockata.
What's going on, sir?
Shark Bar out of Sag Nasty, Michigan. You know, trooper out of there, out of Saginaw. And we got we got MJ Haley. That's I just met MJ the other week, man. You know, I came down here and stuff like that, right? And one of my classmates that I went to school with, she was like, my son stay there. I was like, I'm running to him. We got together, man, you know, sat down, chopped it up about a couple things, you know. So this brother is interested in learning a little something right now.
That's what's up.
So I hope that he stick around and learn everything you want to learn.
God, and feel free to ask any questions as we're going through the class. You know what I mean? And Abuan, you know, you might have to help me with these titles. You got these titles down pat. You know what I mean? Salakia for not covering you.
Is white or black crime worse? And you know, that's a heavy topic right there, sir, because you know, even though, you know, I've been, you know, most of us have been around what we would say is black crime because we black people. So we've been around black crime most of our lives. What we don't understand as a whole is that black crime stems from, you know, from white crime.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Think about this, right? Our people are at war with the people that we don't know we're at war with, right? If you go down to what's that, Deuteronomy 20, 28 and 68, right? You know, it says we will be sold unto our enemies, right? You have to understand that you are at war with your enemies. You are at a constant battle against your enemies. It's nonstop until one of you guys fall.
Right.
All right. Since we still alive and they still alive, we are at war with our enemies. One of the biggest issues is that our people don't understand who our enemy is, because you guys, oh, that's one of the good ones. No, you was one of the good ones. Mm-hmm. Think about it. You know, if you was shucking and jabbing and doing what the oppressor tells you to do, you was considered one of the good ones, right? And we're being considered one of the good ones, one of the goodlings. What they call it, uppity nigga. He was he was one of the uppity niggas. He was a good. And with you being one of the good ones, okay, cool. Understand is we grew up around crime. For us that grew up during, you know, 80s and 90s, we seen Ronald Reagan's war on drugs, right? What did the war on drugs do to the black community? Right? The war on drugs did what to the black community? It vilified the drug addict, right? It vilified the drug addict, right? It made crack cocaine a higher crime than pure cocaine. Reason being is that crack cocaine was poor man's drug. You know, this is what you'll see in the inner city, and cocaine was the rich man drug. Right? Think about it. That's the white man drug. That good toot. You get you some of that good toot. That's what they call it, toot. That's the white man drug. You know, because you know they tooted up their nose. That's why they call it toot. Right. So that crack cocaine, right, was, think about it. Crack cocaine has a less combination of cocaine in it. Is stepped on with cocaine. I mean, it's stepped on with baking soda. So I'm not gonna tell you people how to make this stuff because I don't want y'all on the stove. So what we'll do is say it's stepped on, right? Stepped on means is basically watered down with baking soda.
Right.
So you can have 50 grams of crack cocaine and have 50 grams of cocaine, when 50 grams of cocaine is more concentrated of cocaine than it is of 50 grams of crack cocaine, because most of the time it's half baking soda. Well, it's depending on, you know, what type of dealer you get, is a percentage of it is baking soda instead of being pure cocaine, right? Now, that white man, right? That white man put that drug in your city, right? And then all our mamas and daddies and uncles and aunties got strung out on the crack cocaine, right? We got people selling TVs and babies, right? TVs and babies for some crack cocaine.
Yeah.
Houses being destroyed because of crack cocaine. It was what was that? The white man lied and said that 50% of babies was born strung out on crack cocaine in the black community, when it was less than 2%. Right. So now that's another part of the lie, is propaganda. Right. The propaganda. So now what we do is the white man put a plan together, like, we'll stop these black men, Native American men, and Hispanic men from getting jobs, and then we'll give them this crack cocaine, let them sell the crack cocaine. When if you look up the origin of crack cocaine, it was created in a college facility, right, by a doctor in California.
Yeah.
Think about it. The crack cocaine epidemic started in LA. Right. And if I'm correct, I think that college, I don't want to be incorrect when I let me look this up, because I don't want to say the wrong name and then, you know, somebody looking for us.
Right. No sweat. What you're saying is so heavy. You know what I mean? And I wanted to pull up that verse that you quoted, because like this, man, the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, has so much valuable information. You know what I mean? It'll really help you understand life as a Black, Hispanic, or Indigenous brother. You know what I mean? I saw Captain Mao Quad had posted something on Facebook earlier, you know, telling Blacks, Hispanics, and Indigenous, you know, we got to stop blaming ourselves for the condition that we're in. You know what I mean? Like we don't understand, you know, a lot of us don't understand that this condition was created by our enemy. You know what I mean? It was created by our oppressor, created by a nation of people that has always hated us. You know what I mean? And, you know, again, when we come in the ISUPK and we start learning these scriptures, you know, we start reading through the Bible, all of a sudden life starts making sense. You know what I mean? You had quoted Deuteronomy 28:68. It says, "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships." And this was something that the Most High told the children of Israel would happen to them if they disobeyed him. You know, if they went off sleeping with white women, if they went eating shrimp, crab, and lobster, you know what I mean, worshiping other gods, the Most High said, if you do these things, then I'll bring curses that will fall upon you. And this is one of the curses that said that he shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. There is no other nation of people, you know, as a collective nation that has gone into slavery through ships, except for Blacks, Hispanics, and Indigenous. You know what I mean? And, you know, and even going past of what we were taught that, you know, this just happened to Black people, it's like, hell no. You had Indigenous people being shipped off to Portugal and Spain. You know what I mean? Our Hispanic brothers being shipped off to Portugal and Spain. You know, Blacks being shipped from the west parts of Africa, you know, all throughout North and South Central America. We all as a people collectively went into bondage with ships. It says, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. You know, the Most High told us we wouldn't see our homeland again. You ask a Black, Hispanic, or Indigenous man, where's your homeland? We couldn't tell you. You know what I mean? Some of us will say Africa. What part of Africa?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You have no idea where you come from. All the indigenous that were, shipped off to the Caribbean islands. You know what I mean? They don't know where their homeland is. It says, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bond men and bond women. Most High literally said that we would be sold to a people that we were, at odds with, a people that were our enemy, a people that would hate us. And they would sell us for slave men and slave women. You know what I mean? That was such a heavy precept you quoted, Ahabawan. And it makes so much sense of life. Salaki, I was just holding it down while you pulled that up.
Yeah.
If you got it.
Real quick, I just, sir, if I may.
Yep.
I just sent you a video. Can we play that real quick? Are you able to play that video?
Did you send it to me on my phone?
Yeah.
Okay, Khan. Yeah, you're gonna have to give me a minute.
Or what you want? You want me to see if I can search it out and share it? Yeah, I'll do that real quick. I'll pardon me.
Salaki, can you hear me? I think I went out for a minute.
Yeah, I can hear you, sir. Right.
Okay.
So
yeah,
if you don't mind, let me see if I can get this to work. I want to share. Can I share this little quick article real quick while you set that video up?
Go ahead.
Okay, let me see if I can get it to work real quick. I'm just learning how to do this. Yep. So, right. Yeah. So look here. This is Crack was born in. This is not the right article I was looking for. Hold on. Wait. All right, look. Let's go here. Crack was born during 1974 in San Francisco Bay Area. It says, though Miami and Los Angeles are commonly recognized as the twin cradles of crack. I like that. Twin cradles of crack. The first government finance, think about this, first government finance study of cocaine smoking concluded that it was actually born in the Bay Area in January 1974. Got to understand the crack epidemic hit us in the 80s, right? After comedian Richard Pryor nearly, emulated himself during a cocaine smoking binge in 1980, the National Institute of Drug Abuse hired UCLA drug expert Ronald Siegel to look into the then unfamiliar practice. Siegel, the first scientist to document crack use in the United States, traced the smoking habit back to 1930s when Colombians first started it. Now y'all gotta understand, this is your oppressor pushing that he didn't bring this here. So he had to find some origin that it started somewhere else. It wasn't him in the lab cooking this crack up, because nobody knew the recipe for crack until what's this doctor's name? Nobody knew the recipe. What's this doctor's name? Where to say to the doctor Ronald Siegel. Ronald Siegel is the one that gave us the recipe for crack. So you gotta be careful when you listen to the white man's statements.
Right,
it says
right.
Siegel, the first scientist to document crack use in the United States, traced the smoking habit back to the 1930s when Colombians first started it. But But what was being smoked south of the border, a paste-like substance called base, that's what you call that free base now, was very different from what Californians were putting in their pipes. Now you see that? It's a difference. Right?
Yeah.
He wanted to tell you that, okay, that he got this from Colombians in the 1930s, but then now he's telling you it's something different. It can't be the same. It's different.
If I could add, they were using the cocoa plant for dentistry.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They were using it for severe pain. You know what I mean? It was used as medicine.
Coca-Cola, sir.
Right. Yeah, now, so he can make more money.
I can't say how much he was putting in there. Right. I can't say how much he was putting in there. Right. I don't know. I'm not, I've discussed that with Cap a couple of times, and he helped me understand that they wasn't putting no 3.5 in no can of Coke. But at the same time, we blowing out your man, one Coca-Cola. Right. OD of a Coca-Cola. Right. But what you do have to understand, it was Coca-Cola was sold as a white man's drink. Right. They said that cocaine, right, and they wouldn't allow the black man to get cocaine because they said the cocaine made him hypersexual towards, the slave beast. I mean, that came up, I mean, you know what I'm saying? White women. Right. So it made him hypersexual towards the white woman. And that's why they didn't want to sell the Coca-Cola to the black man. Right. That's nuts, ain't it? Yeah, you can't have no Coca-Cola because you think we want your woman?
Hell nah. Y'all can keep her.
Keep that puppy.
Yeah, dang.
If you don't mind, sir, but continue.
Yeah, no, but that bringing it back, that's so heavy what you're bringing out. You know what I mean? Because like we read earlier, we were sold to our enemies. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it's like, what kind of people would put this drug, inside of our community? You know what I mean? I can bring that back up if you want to read some more.
Just a little bit more, please. But,
yeah, come on, no sweat.
Right. So it says, where it says Siegel, we read that part about the scientists. It says, but what was being smoked south of the border, a paste-like substance called base, was very different from what Californians were putting in their pipes. Siegel found, even though they called it the same thing, free base. Base was a crude toxin Latin procured to cocaine powder, or on the other hand, free base, which later became known as crack or rock, was cocaine powder that had been reverse engineered to make it smokable. When San Francisco Bay Area dealers tried recreating the drug, they seen in South Africa. Now think about this. We're from, okay, now it's the Colombians, now it's the South Africans, right? Oh, okay, cool. Right? We're going to blame it on somebody. South Americans, I mean. Right? South Americans, Siegel learned they screwed up. So look, understand this. When the drug dealers tried to recreate the free base, they screwed up. You see that? Siegel learned they screwed up.
Right.
The white man created crack. I'm trying to let you know right here. It says when they looked it up in the Merck manual, they saw cocaine base was thought, well, yeah, it was. Siegel, a national known drug researcher. So look at it. He's a nationally known drug researcher. The nigga's a dealer. I mean, we ain't no nigga. He's a dealer. They mispronunciated it, misunderstood the Spanish, and thought base was cocaine. I told you we wasn't no crackheads. Look, the base described was an organic chemistry handbook, was cocaine powder separated from its salts, a process easily done by boiling water and baking soda. It was an immediate, if unintentional hit.
Damn.
You see, You see who created this? It say they were, look here, they were wowed by it, Siegel said. They thought they were smoking base. They were not. They were smoking something nobody on the planet had ever smoked before.
Damn.
You see this? I told you they created this in a college laboratory.
Good
right?
night.
They created crack cocaine in a college laboratory, right? And then pumped it into your cities, and now we got the war on drugs.
Con.
You read a little bit more, then I'm gonna stop, sir. It says
Yeah,
they
go
were wild by it. Siegel said they thought they were smoking base and were not. Say they were smoking something nobody on the planet had ever smoked before. It says using the sales record of several major drug paraphernalia companies, Siegel correlated crack public appearance with the appearance of base making kits and glass pipes for smoking it. So not only did he come up with the crack, he came up with the base making kit so you could cook it up in the kitchen, right? You could whip it like a stir fry, and the glass pipe for smoking it. It says the sales recorded zeroed in the Bay Area. The sales records zeroed in the Bay Area, right? It says, look at this. This is the last part of it. It says, we were able to show our satisfaction that we were directly responsible for distributing the habit throughout the United States. Siegel said, I'm going to read that again. We were able to show to our satisfaction that they were directly responsible for distributing the habit throughout the United States. Siegel said. Siegel said he was happy to do what? Distribute this throughout the United States. The whole United States. He said wherever there were selling their kits, that's where we started getting the clinical reports. It all started in Northern California. It all started in Northern California. I'm going to say that again. It all started in Northern California at UCLA, y'all.
Damn.
His groundbreaking studies, never published by the government, purportedly budgetary reasons, Siegel, who said he grew concerned that the information would not be made available to other researchers, published it himself in an obscure medical journal in late 1982. So I'm gonna ask y'all a question. Let me ask y'all a question. When did the crack epidemic hit the United States? In the early 80s. Right? According to this article, they created it where? In the late 70s.
Damn.
Now, I got another article I got to find. I'm going to let you know straight up is that they had a cure for crack cocaine in the 70s, late 70s. So they created it, and then they made it's kind of like you have the opioid addiction right now, the opioid outbreak. And with the opioid outbreak, they got a drug called Suboxone that help wean you off these opioids. Right. So whether it be Perks, Oxycontin, or whatever it may be, these opioids are very addictive. Right. And at the time, they was giving you oxycodone for a damn toothache. You can take Tylenol and some oral gel and not be addicted.
Yep.
You see? So understand that these things that are happening, they push this in our neighborhoods. They push this on us so that they can come up with the war on drugs. You don't see no war on drugs now, do you? Look at the opioid. The name of this class is white crime, white or black crime, which is worse. Is white or black crime worse? Now, what I just showed you is that you are upset with your mother for being a crackhead, or your father for being a crackhead, for your uncle for selling your TV, right? Or for your grandmama that was a crackhead that allows your aunt to get molested by everybody in the neighborhood because she wanted to get some crack and wanted to keep an eye on her babies or the grandbabies. But it's not grandma's fault, uncle's fault, mama, daddy fault, right? You see, I'm gonna tell you who fault it is. Ron Siegel, right?
Mm.
It's the white man's fault. Dr. Ronald Siegel. Think about this. Dr. Ronald Siegel.
Yeah, that's heavy, priest. That's so heavy. You know, I it's crazy. Like, let me say this. I looked up on I just did a little Google search to look up some of the worst crimes historically done by Europeans. And it's like the search engine that was brought up was just giving me like like a little taste. You know what I mean? Like there's crimes that they have committed that are so far worse, you know what I mean, that than Google searches will document. You know what I mean? And I'm glad you brought this topic up, because I don't like people. Maybe if people weren't surrounded by the whole crack era, you know what I mean. It maybe if it didn't hit your household directly, maybe you don't understand the weight of all the effects that was done from crack being put in our communities. You know what I mean? Like, well, you got quote unquote crack babies today who are what? They're probably in their 40s now, 30s, 40s. You know what I mean? And it's like this is affecting their entire life. This affects their who they married. It affects their children. You know what I mean? Their kids. You know what I mean? It's had so much destruction on our community. It's like you can't document everything that's taken place. From putting drugs in our community.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, people give personal stories. People being molested over this drug. People being sexually assaulted over this drug. You know what I mean? All the rape, all the gang violence. Like, good night. You know what I mean? How many people have lost their lives over this drug? You know what I mean? Undocumented. You know what I mean? Like, it's what this devil did by putting crack in our neighborhoods. I don't have the words to describe it all. You know what I mean? So,
well, if I may, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
What we have to understand is that the scriptures say that Esau was blessed with the sword. Right.
Yeah.
And not, people look at sword as he's blessed with the modern day weapons. But what you got to understand is that means that Esau is able to weaponize anything. Right? Think about this.
Yeah.
He's blessed with the sword, right? So he's able to, what does a sword do? A sword kills. Right? A sword kills. So he's blessed with the ability to weaponize something that will kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Easily. What is the deadliest place for a young Black, Native American, Hispanic person to be? What is the deadliest place? You know the answer.
Yep.
The deadliest place for a Black, Native American, or Hispanic is their mother's womb.
Okay.
The deadliest place. So not only has he weaponized the woman against the man, he's also weaponized the woman against the child. Right? Over 350,000 abortions are committed in our community every single year, because Esau has weaponized your mother's womb. Right? So if you was one of those children that made it out like us, it's a blessing, because Esau gave your mother every single availability source and resource that she need to abort your ass.
I'm glad you brought that up, because this is this is an example of what I'm talking about. And, you know, one of the reasons why we say the ISUPK is the home of the truth.
Damn right.
Like we read these scriptures and we see that, you know, Esau was blessed with the sword. So because we're reading this in the Bible, we know that there's no better murderer than Esau. And when I had looked up, you know what I mean, like what's the number one worst crime Europeans have ever committed? And you know what the number one crime they say it was committed, Ahabawan?
Let me hear.
They said the Holocaust. And yeah, God, they haven't recorded as
6 million small hats.
That's right. They haven't recorded from like 4 to 6 million small hats. And you know, as I'm reading this, I'm just shaking my head and I'm like, hold on, let me look up.
Ain't that white on white crime?
That's white on white crime too. You know what I mean? And this is what I mean, like, about Europeans being such a criminal. Like I had looked up immediately how many babies have been unalived because of Margaret Sanger. And you know what I mean? And it's like the US, since Roe v. Wade, has documented over 60 million abortions. You know what I mean?
60 million.
60 million since Roe v. Wade. I think that's somewhere in the 1970s. So you know what I mean?
The Holocaust supposedly, at what was that, World War II? 1942, that around there, 1940, 1942? World War II area. So
1940s.
Yeah, so in the 40s, they supposedly, allegedly, because we have to say allegedly, we don't know for sure, right? So allegedly, Hitler unalived close to 6 million of these small hats, right? Mm-hmm. So he unalived close to 6 million of them, right? He put them in ovens. He did a lot of medical testing on them. You know, a lot of medical breakthroughs came through that so-called Holocaust, right? A lot of medical breakthroughs, you know, and like, you know how long people get to stay in the oven, you know how long people get to breathe gas, you know, so different things came out of that that Holocaust, right? That promoted and pushed science. The thing about it, sir, is that you know, it's similar to what's going on now with Israel and Iran, right? Now, as the ISUPK stand, we don't support Israel or Iran, right? But we understand oppression. When you have that oppressor sitting on your back, you want them to get off your damn back, right? You want that oppressor to get off your back, right? And what we fight against is oppression. So we can understand and we can like, no, this shouldn't go down or this shouldn't happen because that's direct oppression. Now, what you have to understand is those small hats were oppressing those Germans at the time, and they just turned the tides. The Germans were being oppressed by the small hats at first, and then the Germans end up just turning the tides on them. Right? What's the name? Hitler began to push his propaganda. But you got to understand, Hitler was just like Donald Trump, a C student. He wasn't no genius, right? He had barely passable grades, right? If passable, right? He might have been a D student. I'm not sure. I have to look it back up again. But he wasn't some creative genius, right? He wasn't some charismatic individual, but what he did was he understood their oppression, and he knew how to speak to people about what's going on around them and get them to join with them. Think about it. Hitler said the pure Aryan race had blonde hair and blue eyes, and he didn't.
Yeah,
and he didn't. That, you know what that reminds me of? You ever see that Dave Chappelle episode with the Black Klansman?
the Black Klansman.
Yeah,
But
he
you're
was
not
a
talking
black,
about something Bigsby.
yeah, Bigsby.
Bigsby, yeah, Clayton Bigsby. God.
That was Hitler.
Mm.
He up there promoting something that he's not.
Right.
He's pushing something that he's not. Right? You know, Bigsby ended up, you know, breaking up with his wife because she was a nigga lover.
Yeah.
Nigga, she loves you.
Yeah, dog. I got something I want to share.
Please.
Okay, just a quick video. If you could let me know if you can't hear it.
I can see it.
I can zoom in a little bit.
There were approximately 12,000 ships that brought 12.5 million Africans to the Americas. She got 12,000 ships.
Mm-hmm.
What I realized was that I could not tell you the name of a single one of those ships growing up, but I could tell you about the Mayflower. I could tell you about the Titanic. I could tell you about all these other ships that were considered important, but I couldn't name one of those.
One of 12,000.
That didn't feel right to me. So it's the first stat. The second one, and this is the one that sits heaviest on my heart, I learned that there were 1.8 million Africans who died just in the crossing from Africa to the Americas. We're not talking about the number of people who died once they arrived and were enslaved. Just in the
transition.
I didn't know it was 1.8 million people. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
What's so heavy about that is that those trade lines, those ships sail, the lines that those ships sail, right? Those are now shark infested waters because the sharks fed off of those 1.7 million people that were thrown overboard or jumped off the boat trying to gain freedom or get away from their oppressor, right? So still to this day, sharks still travel those ship routes looking for those bodies that was thrown up because it's in their what is it called? Their nature, their what is it called? It's in their basically their makeup to follow the food trade lines, right? And so they still in their instincts, it's in their instincts to follow those ship lines now to this day. So understand that they fed our people. You know, we remember gator bait, who was shark bait too.
God, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's hard for people, you know, to really understand the magnitude of you know, life that is just, you know, gone because of Europeans. If you could grab what's that? Pursued Blood. I think it's Ezekiel
35:6.
35:6. That Con.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because it's like these are just people that are, you know, being thrown off of ships. You know what I mean? This is on the way crossing, you know, to the Americas to be put in slavery.
Hey, sir, yo, man, I'm gonna start at 35:5.
Yeah, that's 12. You know what I mean? Because it's like, they what's the word? The value of life is so it's nothing to the European man. You know what I mean? Like 60 million babies have been aborted since Roe v. Wade.
That's 10 times the Holocaust.
Like this man, you know, we've used words like this man is a virus on the earth. I don't think there's a word good enough to define how diabolical Europeans truly are. Literally, they are a plague. They are, you know, plaguing this earth, committing mass, you know, death everywhere they go. You know what I mean? Like 1.7 million bodies just thrown overboard. You know what I mean? Like you change the fabric of a society committing mass genocide on people. Go ahead and read that verse, Abu.
Another one, sir. This is Ezekiel chapter 35 and verse 5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and thou hast shed the blood of the children of Israel.
That's what he did here. You know what I mean? Like this is right out of the book, right out of our records. He's had a perpetual hatred for the children of Israel. Like he so-called, unalives 4 million people in the Holocaust, and that's his brother. You know what I mean? Like they're all Europeans. But when it comes to our people, you know what I mean? We haven't even got to the Americas yet, and damn near 2 million people just gone.
They didn't even get here.
What I mean? Didn't even get here yet. Like that is a perpetual hatred. You know what I mean? The amount of abortions that have happened, starting off, speaking on the crack cocaine they put in our neighborhoods. Like, you really have to hate a person to do something like this. Go ahead and keep reading.
Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and has shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity.
And that's at a time where, we don't have protection. You know what I mean? The Most High has always been Blacks, Hispanics, and Indigenous protection. But when we disobey our God, we lose that protection. And when we lost that protection, Esau took advantage of that. Our enemy took, complete advantage of that. And that perpetual hatred, it's an ongoing hate. It's never going to end. You know what I mean? It's a sad thing. Like Genesis 49 said that Judah would dwell, in the neck of his enemy. I'm paraphrasing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Could you imagine? You know what I mean? Like, what's a good parable? Like, having a sheep, just surrounded by 10 wolves. You know what I mean? And it just has nowhere to go. The sheep has to wake up day and night surrounded by those wolves. Nowhere to go. You know what I mean? Like, that's us here in America.
If I may, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
And what our people don't understand is that we're the sheep that's surrounded by those 10 wolves. But what we'll do is, because an 11th wolf will come over there and be like, don't eat this sheep. This sheep is our friend, right? And that 11th wolf will take you to his house, and it'll feed you, and it'll wine and dine you and get you fat and thick and eat your ass up later on when you're big instead of eating you when you're small. That's the only thing. That's what our oppressor does.
Yeah. Yep. Shoot, I was even thinking that there was somebody that posted a video earlier. You know what I mean? Like, you see how Esau is with animals. You know what I mean? He'll sit there and say, protect the animals, protect the whales, protect this, protect that. But the minute the animal, you know what I mean, looks at him the wrong way, he's like, oh, we got to put that animal down.
What's so heavy about
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir, is that I seen a video today. Now, my Detroit people, wake up. On the Lodge Freeway, how many white people closed down the freeway to save them 2 dogs? If anybody know about that, speak up in the chat, please. If anybody know about that, please speak up in the chat. But they blocked the freeway off to save some dogs that was running along the freeway. You know how many dead dogs I see lying around the freeway right now in the Lodge?
Right.
Bunch of them.
Good.
Bunch of them, right? I see dead dogs and bumpers all off the side of the Lodge Freeway, right? These people blocked off the freeway, right? It was like 3 white women. They blocked off the freeway so that they can try to attempt to save these dogs. They risked their life right? By stopping in the middle of the freeway to save some dogs. But yet and still, you walk past and they clench their purse. Right?
Yeah.
You can't get pulled over by one of their police officers without them asking you for your ID and unaliving you, Fernando Castillo. Right? You can't be sleeping in your bed without them running up and kicking in your house, your door with a false raid and unaliving you while you in your bed sleep, Breonna Taylor. Right? You can't play in the park. 12-year-old boy, you can't play in the park with a toy without them pulling up on you and unaliving you right there in the park. Tamir Rice.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can't walk home with Skittles and what do you have? An Arizona iced tea?
Damn.
Trayvon Martin. These are the things you can't do while you black here in America. But yet and still, if you was a dog, they will shut down the freeway for you. Damn near get ran over by, because you understand the Lodge is a raceway. Think about it. The speed limit on the Lodge is 55 miles an hour. Have you ever got on the Lodge and was able to do 55 miles an hour without getting ran over? You can't. You got to do at least 70 miles an hour on the Lodge. And they shut it down to save dogs when they will hang your ass from a tree.
Yep. Yeah, it's all hypocrisy. It's all bullshit. You know what I mean? Like this man is, what's it say? He was a murderer from the beginning.
I got that scripture too.
Like,
you want me to finish this one?
Yeah, let's finish on this scripture first. It
says, in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquities had an end. Verse 6, therefore, as I live, saith the Lord God, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Sith thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee.
He doesn't hate blood. You know what I mean? Like if you could think about that, you know what I mean? Like some people might, maybe they'll hesitate, before putting a bullet in you. You know what I mean? This wicked bastard does not care. Like he is after that blood. You know what I mean? He wants death. He wants to see it. He wants to chase it. He wants to pursue it. That's why the Most High said, blood shall pursue thee, because that's all this devil does. He is good at nothing but unaliving. You know what I mean? Nothing but lying and unaliving. That is what he is good at. You know what I mean? And his history shows it. Like he's got we got a couple thousand years of Habawan of European history. You know what I mean? How many times you'll hear a white boy say something like, "Oh well, didn't Africans enslave Africans?" And it's like they say it to almost, to make themselves look a little better. You know what I mean? Or feel a little less guilty to say, we're not that bad. We're not the only nation of people that enslave people. We're not the only nation of people that unalive people. You know what I mean?
You know what that's from?
What's that?
That's from you ever be chilling or doing something bad with one of your brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I know that.
And you get caught. And then as soon as you get caught, right? You get caught for something, it might be a minor infraction. Right? You get caught for, your mama told you not to spit off the balcony, and you spitting off the balcony of your apartment, right?
Right. Yeah.
Now you get caught for spitting off the balcony. Then such, you get the points because you got a point too. Such was throwing rocks over there.
God.
I ain't even get caught, dog. You got caught.
God, that's so heavy. You know what I mean? That's so heavy. Yep. The Bible says children are thou oppressors.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? Like the European man is very childlike. You know what I mean? That's exactly what he does.
If I
He
may, sir,
thinks like a child. He moves like a child. Go ahead.
I got a John 10:10.
Come on, go ahead.
It says, "The thief cometh not, but to steal and to kill and to destroy."
Mm.
Right? Understand, what has the white man done to us, right? Done to us even before we step foot on this continent. He stole us, he killed us, and now he's trying to destroy us. Right? So what you have to understand is that we already showed you earlier with Deuteronomy 28 and 68 who your enemy was. Now we're showing you who the thief is.
Yep.
It's the same damn man. So your enemy is a thief. So your oppressor, the devil, is a thief, and he's your enemy. Wake up, black man.
Yeah.
Wake up.
Let me see if I don't know if there's anything left on that video, and I got something I want to read after this.
I still want you to that video I sent you.
Did you I don't see nothing in the private chat.
No, I had sent it on your phone.
Oh, okay, Con.
Yeah, we was talking about the crack cocaine. I ain't want to get too far away from that. I want to show you the video.
Hey, Con, if you could hold down the class for a minute, I'll
I got it. Because I'm about to jump to something.
Con, no sweat.
Because I could try to find it, but like he said, is our enemy. Whose crime are the worst? Now, what you have to understand is do black people steal? Yeah. They steal cars and jewelry and they steal a couple of things. But what you have to understand is what do white people steal? You want to know what white people steal? White people steal people. That's how you were, as you were hiding in the western coast of Africa, how you ended going through Ghana, which is right there in Ghana. That should let you know that you are not African, black man, Native American man, Hispanic man. You're not African. That'll let you know that you're not African, because in Ghana, there was where they were loading slave ships at, and it's called the door of no return, right? And with this door of no return, what ends up happening is once you load it onto that slave ship, you're not coming back to that coast, that western coast of Africa. So that's why they call it the door of no return. So don't fall for these Guyanese people talking about, come on back over here, we want you to come back. No, you helped ship us the hell over here. Why would you want to go from one oppressor to another one because you think he looked like you? Right? He definitely don't smell like you. If you them smell them Africans, they don't smell like you. Right? You back, sir?
Yeah, I got it. And I got the video pulled up here.
Oh, you got the video? Okay, look, before I would like to play that video, because there's some heavy stuff in that video that help let us know about these white crimes.
Yeah.
It's only like a minute, I think, or so long.
Yeah.
We're in touch with a lot of the underground chemists who are synthesizing new compounds, and they send a lot of them to us for testing. We don't give them any feedback, but we like to monitor what's out there in the street. And by the way, our lab...
Look, they said we're not getting any feedback, but we like to do what? Monitor what's going down in them streets, right? They're not out here testing a new vaccine, right? They're not testing a new vaccine. They're not testing a cure for cancer, right? They testing another way to control the population of Blacks, Native Americans, and Hispanics, right? Because if you high, right? Think about it. That's why you see the brothers in the ISUPK. When they come into this ISUPK, the first thing brothers doing is getting off whatever addiction that they had, whether it be drugs or alcohol. Some of you brothers is addicted to that other crack. you gotta drop that addiction too. But play, please, sir.
Con. Yeah, and this is heavy. This is UCLA's involvement in the crack epidemic.
Yes, sir.
We're synthesizing new compounds, and they send a lot of them to us for testing. We don't give them any feedback, but we like to monitor what's out there in the street. And by the way, our lab was the one who discovered the crack epidemic.
Slacky, and if I could, what, like, you would wonder, why is UCLA monitoring the crack that is out on the street? You know what I mean? That sounds off right there, Salaki.
Look, they put it there. So when you marketing a new product, right, and you giving out free samples, right, you have to monitor your customer base.
Product, yep.
You got to monitor your customer base. So just say like this water I got right here, right? So this water, I want to give out new flavored water, right? I want to see people gonna like the lemon, the cherry, the orange, the grape. Which ones you're gonna like the most, right? Because the ones that you like the most, I'm gonna produce the most of, right? So now you like the lemon the best. All right, so I'm gonna produce more lemon than I am produce cherry because majority of the people like the lemon, and I can sell the lemon the fastest until I come up with a new product or a new flavor.
Right.
We discovered crack 13 years before the word was even introduced into the lexicon.
Pause. We discovered crack. Remember the article we was reading trying to say that the Colombians did that?
No, we discovered it.
The white man just said we discovered crack 13 years before what? Let him go.
We had monkeys smoking crack cocaine in the basement labs at UCLA.
Run it back.
Years before the word was even introduced into the lexicon. We had monkeys smoking crack epidemic. And by the way, our lab was the one who discovered the crack epidemic, and we discovered crack 13 years before the word was even introduced into the lexicon. We had monkeys smoking crack cocaine in the basement labs at UCLA 13 years.
Damn.
Monkey crackheads.
Yeah, monkeys smoking crack 13 years before this shit is introduced.
Monkeys smoking crack. Now, you know what? The white man has done some diabolical thing. I would like to see like a crackhead monkey. I want to see. Is he out there stealing bananas? You know what I'm saying? What is he trading for this? What is this monkey trading for this crack? How is he getting it? You know how he getting it? The same way your neighborhoods got it, the white man. Think about it. The monkey got the crack the same way that black people got the crack.
Yeah, that's unfortunately, I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised. Not at all. Now, understand who was president then? Ronald Reagan.
I was gonna say, is this Ronald Reagan?
Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
He done got dementia and forgot every goddamn thing before he died.
I remember those commercials. I remember this is your egg, or this is your brain fried on drugs.
So this is your brain.
They used to sizzle that egg in the frying pan.
You know what's messed up about that is that some of us was going to school hungry as hell.
Right.
They frying a fucking egg. This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs. Any question? Yes. My question is, can I have that egg? That's my question.
Yeah, for real.
Then they get commercials, say no to drugs. Don't you got to be on drugs to say no to drugs? Because if you ain't on drugs, you don't really got to say no to drugs. Right?
Yes.
You don't got to, if I'm not on crack, I don't got to say no to crack. Okay.
Yep.
We talking about these white man crimes. We do stuff like steal cars. Black folks steal cars. They might snatch your yays. You know what I'm saying? I go out and I go to the bar, and half the guys in the bar got on yays. Everybody go home with their yays. Half of them got on chains, big chains. All of them go home with their chains on. But Venezuela just got jacked for 3 billion, was it 300 billion barrels of oil?
And he said he's coming for Cuba next.
Huh?
And he said he's coming for Cuba next.
Look, he done hit Iran, right? He hit Cuba. He hit Iran. No, he hit Venezuela. He hit Iran. And he said he's coming for Cuba.
Yeah,
But
and that's in the scriptures, Ahabawan.
Huh?
Like, and that's in the scriptures. You know, it says in Obadiah, you know, a thief would steal until he had enough. You know what I mean?
Will steal until he had enough. But
you know,
the
like
thief also comes to do what? Kill, steal, and destroy.
Yeah.
So are we talking about two different thieves? No, we're talking about that same white man.
That's the same devil.
It's that same devil.
God.
We gotta let the people hear this video, sir.
Yeah, I want to hear this. I like it.
Before the word was invented, because we knew it was coming, and we wanted to make sure that we understood everything. We're working on the next ones already. Drugs that are out.
Damn, he said we're working on the next ones already.
So, you know, this opioid crisis that came up, right? Now, you tricked us with the crack. You got us with the crack. And we was like, damn, they got our uncles and our mamas and our cousins and our brothers and our sisters and our wives and our husbands and stuff like that with the crack.
Right.
So when this opioid addiction came out, they thought they was going to get us with that. No, you keep that, white people. You keep that. You keep all the heroin. Think about it. That's why they raided Afghanistan, because Afghanistan had all the poppy seeds, right? So they had all the poppy seeds over there, which was used to make opioids, right? So understand is that if you have a opioid allergy, if you have an opioid allergy, right? Some people can't take opioids because you know it's a medicine, right? So opioids are used as a medicine. Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid, right? So they use all these opioids as medicine and painkillers, right? But when you go ahead and take these like self-prescribe is what I'll say, kind of what people doing with weed right now.
Yeah.
When you self-prescribe your own meds, and now that's when you start to become habit forming and addicted. So these opioids start off as oxycodone and oxycontin and perks and you know all that stuff. They're painkillers, but when you start to abuse them, now you have the same effects as shooting heroin into your arm. Right? Think about this: the same Narcan that they use to fight heroin OD, they used to fight oxycodone OD, oxycontin OD, and a Percocet OD.
Yeah, you know, so like this is a small side note, because as you're bringing this out, you know, you're making something make sense for me. And you know, for how many, you know, years was weed illegal? You know what I mean? Like they had weed illegal for I don't know how many decades, and then they legalize it, and now that it's legalized, Ahabawan, now they're having the highest rates of what's it called, induced psychosis from smoking
Induced
weed,
psychosis. Yep.
because the THC levels are out the fucking roof.
You know why? Because now, think about this. When we was growing weed in the backyard,
Right.
when we was growing weed in the backyard, we didn't have the finances to cut and synthesize this plant to get 90% THC to come out this damn thing.
Right.
Right? You know, the most you would get 35, 45% THC, and that's on the high end. You used to call that gas.
God.
You used to call that gas. No stems, no sticks, no seeds. That used to be the GANs when you didn't have no seeds and you got, 35 to 45% THC. Now you got the THC extract, right? So these little cartons, 100% THC, right? Little gummy bears or whatever, candies and stuff, right? You got 90% THC. Then you got the smokable plant, which is 85, 90% THC. So you have self-induced psychosis that's rocking people's world. We got some more people jumping into the chat. Who we got in here real quick, sir? Let me do this. We got Kabar, Yahweh Shamar Lataba, Shem Yahweh Sasas. We got Maria and Sister Asha. And we got Sister Carolyn out of Chicago. Yahweh Shamar Lataba, Hashem, Yahweh Shah sisters. We got One West Radabia. What's up, bro? Shalom Lord Christ, Yabashim Yashabakatah, bro. Who else we got in here? I think that's all we got. All the newbies we got in here so far. No, I can't get this thing to work.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. Oh, we got YJ in here. Yabashim Yashabakatah, sir. So. Oh, Toya, what's going on? It's one of my classmates. We got Toya in here. Yahweh Shamar Lataba, Shem Yahweh Shashus. I send out the link to the class to a bunch of folks, sir. So, I just send the Facebook thing. So I want a lot of folks to get on because I think people need to hear this subject. This especially, something that's very touching to a lot of us.
Yeah.
Right? This is a touching subject because everybody got a crackhead, so-called crackhead in their family. And what they got to understand is that crack is a sickness, just like this opioid addiction. This opioid crisis is another sickness. The only difference is that crack hit Black people by the masses, and this opioid crisis are hitting the white folk by the masses. So they tried to put another drug. You can't hit us with the same thing twice. Fool me once, shame on me.
Right.
So fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, I just want to be fooled, right? And then what do you say? Fool me 3 times, the peace sign, load the chopper, put the blame on you. But if you don't mind, sir, can we continue with that video?
God, absolutely.
Out there now on the street that are not illegal, that people are looking at.
And again, you're at UCLA?
Yes.
Yeah. Just to let listeners know, where you're speaking from.
Yes, I've been here for a long, long time. And I came out here from New York because it was one of the few places I could do LSD research at the time, and we were giving LSD and all kinds of marijuana and all kinds of other drugs to volunteers in the laboratory, and I wanted to move away from animal research.
They give them LSD and all type of marijuana to fiends. I mean, volunteers.
Volunteers, come.
They call it volunteers. Right?
You can call it fiends. We can call it drug addicts.
It's called fiends in the hood, but at UCLA, they call them volunteers.
Yeah, and that's to this class title, because that's part of the lies that we constantly tear down, and it's like you see a white boy in a suit and tie you know, at the job, you think he's, you know, some kind of civilized human being. You know, meanwhile, he's going home and doing shrooms, LSD, you know, lines of coke, putting, you know, pills up his nose. You know what I mean? Like, this is what this man does.
With the white beater on.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But he walks into to UCLA, and you know, he's not considered a junkie. He's not considered a drug addict. You know what I mean? He doesn't fit the stereotype of a regular drug addict. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, this guy gets high out of his mind every single day. Probably can't come to work without being high. Salagia?
Say, I don't see how they pass drug tests. Because you know, these companies, I see these companies hiring individuals, and you know, I be seeing these individuals, you know, these oppressors, and I'm like, this is a fiend. You can't see your fiend. You're sitting there the whole time. He's sitting there itching.
Well, you know, come to find out, you know, we're not the ones who are, you know, on every government assistance program known to man. You know, the Jews. You know what I mean? These devils are on every government assistance plan. They don't got to work. They got the food stamps. You know what I mean? You see that Jewish community in Brooklyn, I think it is. You know what I mean? They taking, you know, everybody's tax dollars, living off of that money. You know what I mean?
And throwing, was it IUD pipe bombs over in New York? Did you see that?
No, I haven't seen that.
Small hats. They threw some type of bomb in New York, right? They had like a protest going on, and one of them small hats threw a bomb.
God.
But
not surprised.
You know, we getting close to the end. If we're gonna get through this video,
God.
Hear how this white man called you volunteers, dope fiends, volunteers.
Move into people who could give informed consent and volitionally agree to all the conditions of the experiments. And it was also an exciting time because lots of new epidemics have started here in California. The psychedelic revolution started here. The methamphetamine epidemic
and yeah, he said many revolutions have started here.
Yes, he said many. And then he said the psychedelic revolution. You know, that's when they popping them shrooms. You just mentioned that, sir. Popping them shrooms, and with them popping them shrooms, the psychedelic revolution. I heard a white boy tell me, right? Because I asked him, how was it, you know, when he used the shrooms, the mushrooms? I was like, how is it? How did it make you feel? He said, well, you can hear color and see sound. And he said red was the loudest. Right then, I was like, you high as hell, dog.
Man, look, so like I'll have one, but you know, in construction, I work with these devils. You know what I mean? I do something called piecework, and we get paid, you know, by basically producing more.
Yeah,
you
by
know
the
what
piece.
I mean? Yeah, by the piece. So, you know, I do drywall or framing. So for every stud I frame, I'll get paid, or every linear foot or every sheet of drywall I put on the wall, you know, I'll get paid for it. And, you know, a lot of these devils that I work with, they do nothing but lines of cocaine all day long.
Lines of drywall.
Just to keep them jacked up. And they just, you know, they perceive as if they're, you know, running nonstop. You know what I mean? But they crash so hard, you know, off that drug, they'll disappear for like 2 hours and then come back. You know what I mean? And, you know, a lot of times, you know, just pupils dilated, just, you know, whole eye pitch black. You know what I mean? Like they on every drug known to man. You know what I mean? Like I watch them do it. And these guys are getting paid, you know what I mean? Paid a lot of money to do this. You know what I mean? So these are people you would see in that expensive restaurant, not knowing, you know, they're the biggest drug addict known to man.
Well, you know,
Like,
the Epstein files was telling you about all the cocaine that they was doing and you know, between little kids and cocaine. That's really what Epstein Island was about.
Sloppy priest. That is, you know, that is what the USA is about. That's what you know, all of North America is about, not just the Epstein Island. Like they're doing this all over. You know what I mean? Wherever you find Europeans, that shit is going on. This is what they do. You know what I
Think about
mean?
this. What will make you think that with all the cocaine Trump and his friends do, that they was going to Venezuela because of cocaine?
God.
We're gonna stop the drug epidemic. He high as hell saying that shit.
Yeah, it was crazy. Why would Donald Trump stop the drug epidemic? Like he's got nothing but drugs and whores to pay for. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Just waiting for more to come out on what nonsense he's doing. You know what I mean? Did I play the videos?
No, we didn't play it. We didn't play it all. It still got a little bit more.
God. God.
In 69, 70 started here. The crack epidemic in the form of cocaine-free base smoking started here in 1971. It hit New York in 1985. You know, so we were always on the cutting edge of things, and it was an exciting place to be, and it still is.
Damn.
Wow. On the cutting edge.
He called it the cutting edge. You know what I mean?
They produced it in 71, and it hit New York in 85.
85.
So it took them 14 years to get crack cocaine from UCLA to the NYC.
And he said, and doesn't you know? Correct me if I'm wrong. Doesn't cutting edge mean to be like, you know, basically they're like the pioneers. You know what I mean? Yeah. So they're on top of, you know, the dope game. You know what I mean? Like they stay ahead of the game. They're the ones pioneering all this shit. You know what I mean? Like you think you're some kind of drug dealer because you know you're in the basement trying to cook up some shit. Like this devil, you know, has an entire, you know, funding from a UCLA college. You know what I mean? Entire lab. He's got, you know, people going and tracking down chimpanzees to bring back to his lab so he can test, you know, test his drugs. Like they're on a whole other level. You know what I mean?
You ever see what was the name of that movie? It wasn't Man on Fire. It was a movie with Lorenz Tate and Vin Rames. And he's like, yeah, pull the guy over. I mean, he ain't pulled the guy over. They had raided the guy, ran up in his house. And he was like, you think you're a baller because you move a key a week?
Mm.
He said, these folk are moving 50 metric tons a month. How much? God damn! How much cocaine you think was in UCLA, right? And you I'm gonna tell you this. They tell you we was giving crack to monkeys. They think about this, right? When you work for Budweiser, they got tasters at Budweiser. Did you know that? The breweries,
the breweries,
you know, any beer, any liquor, you know, Jack Daniels, they have tasters. So the tasters are there to, you know, taste the beer, taste the liquor, or whatever that when the batch is done, and that's what they do throughout the day. Is they go through and they taste it and make sure that it has the proper mix. They're like expert alcohol tasters, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think that used to be my job, or it should have been. Right? So they tasters. You don't think about this. They call in there at UCLA, they call in their tasters volunteers.
Good night. That's crazy.
Why the feds never ran up in UCLA and say, "Oh, you got all this damn cocaine"? Why the feds never run up in there? They ran up in Pookie and Ray Ray spot because they had a zip.
Yeah, that's crazy. Because we're getting how many years of shoot, how should I call it? Going back to slavery, basically. Because the minute you're incarcerated, you're back to that free labor. So how many of us are being put back in slavery over this drug? Meanwhile, you got metric tons of this shit inside of your colleges. You know what I mean? Producing this.
Colleges.
Yeah. It's absolute insanity. And again, it shows you to how much of a criminal this man actually is. You know what I mean? Like the number one gangster on the earth, is our oppressor.
We get in trouble for selling drugs at school. Right? Think about all the black young college students that were trying to sell a little dope here and there to pay for some books, pay for a car or something like that, pay for some housing. And they got all the dope right there at the school. All the drugs you want right there at UCLA. Right? Understand is what this video said is that they discovered or they created crack in 1971. It didn't reach New York to 1985. Understand is the 80s, especially the late 80s, right? That's when you started to see the Big Meaches and Larry Hoovers. Who else? Them dope dealers of the 80s. The what was that? The YBI. You started to see those groups, Best Friends. That's just the groups that and the gangs, the Purple Gang and all of them. The Purple Gang came a little bit before the 80s, but they end up expanding into, some other groups. But you started to see this stuff inside, you think in these black organizations in the inner city are the ones who are causing your sister to sell herself for a $5 crack rock. When it was UCLA the whole time. Right? So you can't tell me that if UCLA is testing drugs on volunteers that Ronald Reagan didn't know nothing about these drugs. That who was the president after him? Right after Reagan. I can't even tell you. It wasn't Gerald Ford. I think Gerald Ford was right before him. I'm not sure. I don't know the order of them oppressors lined up at the top of this country. I don't. You asked me, I was just speaking to my little cousins the other day about they were speaking like Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. I was like, no, he didn't. The Civil War the Civil War allowed the slaves to be free because they fought with the Union instead of fighting with the Confederacy. The Confederacy wanted to keep you in slavery. The Union said, if you fight with us and help us win, we will free you. Right? And we still had to fight for freedom after that. And then they said, all right, we're going to give you 40 acres and a mule. Ain't none of my family members seen no 40 acres and no mules. None of my ancestors seen no 40 acres and no mule. What about yours, sir?
I don't know. I ain't get shit. I won. You know what I mean? And I want what's owed to me. Salaki.
And I want what's owed to give me what you owe. Give me what you owe. That's how I feel.
God.
Give me what you owe.
It is a lot more than 40 acres and a mule.
That'll be a hot ass shirt. Give me what you owe.
God.
I might have to put that one together.
God. Shoot.
So, sir,
Let's see.
I would like to bring something that's, if you don't have anything, I would like to get away from the drugs that the white man has brought into our community and get into another crime. Because this is, like I said, black people steal hats and cars and rims and speakers and what else? Name something. If you in the chat, if you woke in the chat, name something that a black person has stolen from you, so we can look at these black crimes, right? Even to the point where I've had a black person steal a family member while unaliving one of my family members, right? But they didn't unalive 1.7 million on the way from Africa. Right? They didn't unalive. Oh, I got a story about the white man unaliving. Let me see which one I'm gonna use.
Yeah,
that one.
I got I got one here because this one is, what's the word called? Present. You know what I mean? This is going on right now. And it's died down a little bit. And just out of honor to our people, I'm gonna talk about this shit. I ain't gonna forget this shit. Salagi. Let me see. This is just a quick
before you go there, sir, if I may. Read one quick scripture, right? So our people understand what's going on, right? Right here in Job 9:24, it says the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. He covereth their faces, he covereth the faces of their judges. Thereof, if not, where and who is he? Right? So with the earth being given into the hands of the wicked, who controls the earth right now?
Yeah, that's straight knowledge
devil,
from the Bible.
The same thief that we've been talking about.
That's why this book is so important. You know what I mean? Like, seek ye out of the book of the Lord. Like you know what I mean? You will not be disappointed. You know what I mean? The scriptures say that knowledge shall be the stability of these times. You know what I mean? Like, you want some knowledge, you better read this book.
You better.
You're gonna learn who the wicked are in this earth. The earth was given to the hand of the wicked, and you find out who that there's a wicked people ruling the earth. Maybe you might second guess if you should act like these people or not. You know what I mean? Maybe you might start second guessing who you leave your children around. You know what I mean? Saw a video just the other day where some European tried to grab a sister in a hotel room. You know what I mean? Like, this shit, like, we better start stereotyping these Europeans.
Better.
You know what I mean? You better start stereotyping them, because the Bible stereotypes them. You know what I mean? The Bible stereotypes Esau. He lets you know who he is, lets you know his character, what he's about, his greed, his love for money, his love for blood. You know what I mean? That is all throughout the Bible. You know what I mean? We better wake up and start listening to these records.
Hey, sir, before you go any further, if may I say something?
Of course.
Now, I want you to understand, Israel, how when we just played that last video, how they call volunteers. We know that they're addicts, but they're called volunteers. How they're on the brinks or the cusp of what did he say he was on, sir? He said they were
what was it? The cutting edge.
The cutting edge.
There you go.
Of selling crack. He's on the cutting edge. Right? What you have to understand is that in this scripture describes what Esau is he's trying to woo you to sleep with his words, right? He's trying to woo you to sleep. And if you go to Psalms 55:21, it says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet they drawn swords.
178 peace treaties were negotiated with the indigenous brothers.
Damn right.
And 178 were broken.
Damn right.
Like that's a smooth killer right there.
You batting 100. I can tell you whatever the hell I want to tell you, and then do what I want to do.
Yeah, and and that's knowledge to understand that, when Esau is saying certain phrases to you, like, you got to understand that is a full out assault on you. You know what I mean? He tells you to forget slavery. Slavery was in the past. You know what I mean? He tells you these different phrases. You better be mindful of what's coming out of his mouth, because he's smooth. You know what I mean? He's smooth. But these are drawn swords. This is an attack. You know what I mean? He's good at it. Commanding General Yohana tells us all the time, like, you really start studying, an abuser, you'll really start to understand your oppressor a lot better. You know what I mean? What do they call it? Classic. He's a classic abuser. Classic abuse.
And with him being a classic abuser, you suffer from Stockholm syndrome, my people.
Yeah, that's a heavy precept, priest.
And we always come up with the part of the scripture says words were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. But that scripture also says that his words were softer than oil, right? Yet were they drawn swords, right? Like you were saying about the Native Americans, he made 170 plus peace treaties with the Native Americans and didn't abide by one of them. The Native American called him fork tongue, snake, right? I understand this is that if the Native Americans called him a snake, and this is going to lead to a different topic, but we ain't going to go there. Who do you think Eve was talking to in that garden? Snakes don't talk now.
She was talking to a snake, boy.
She was talking to a snake, but he walked on two legs.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, he walked on two legs. Right, same snake that spoke to the Native Americans.
Yep. Damn right. Yep.
What you got, sir?
Let me well, this is just a side, we run out of time a little bit. We'll get through this one. I got a scripture too I want to bring out. You know what I mean? Because if you could grab Malachi chapter 1 and verse 4. Malachi chapter 1 and 4.
You want it now?
I'll get it after I read through this really quick.
Yep.
Because so something that was happening in Canada a couple of years ago is that we started finding unmarked graves, cemeteries in residential schools, and it was starting to account for a lot of the indigenous children that had gone missing. And as they started finding some, they were like, wait a minute, let's issue a full-out investigation on these residential schools. And they started finding thousands of unmarked graves. You know what I mean? And so I wanted to read this because, there's not a number. We don't have a set number yet on how many children that were unalived inside these residential schools. It says, this is the Indian residential school system. The Truth and Reconciliation Commissions of Canada concluded in 2015 that the residential school system constituted a cultural genocide. Documented deaths, the TRC officially documented 4,118 to 6,000 children who died while attending these schools. Primarily from disease, such as tuberculosis, malnutrition, and neglect. Okay, so these are the main reasons. They're saying are some of the main reasons why these children were dying. Now, you know, for anybody, another name for residential schools, a boarding school. They were called boarding schools in the U.S.
I was going to ask you if there was orphanages.
No, these were where, you know, our oppressor took, you know, literally ripped these kids out of, you know, Native Indian or First Nations homes and forced them on these schools. And this would be like an elementary school today, except it's a place where you learn, you know, you're forced to learn English and you're forced to learn Catholicism. You know what I mean? And there were so many, you know, I can't even use it. I don't even have the words to use. There were so many different abuses that they, you know, did to these children. You know what I mean? Going as far as literally having electric chairs inside of these schools. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you could imagine being in elementary school and you got a fucking electric chair in the room. Like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? And so these indigenous children were dying by the thousands. You know what I mean? And they had only documented up to 4,000 to 6,000 children. All right, but because again they've been doing an investigation, they actually do not know how many children. It says estimated deaths. Justice Murray Sinclair, the TRC chair, has stated the actual number is likely much higher, potentially 10,000 to 25,000 children, due to poor record keeping and the fact that many children were buried in unmarked graves.
Damn.
Like, you have children that have just disappeared off the face of the earth. You understand? Like, what devil does this? What kind of man, you know what I mean, would actually be able to do something like this? And what I thought was scary about this is, you know, this is all people who are dressed up as popes. You know, these are women who are nuns, you know what I mean? Priests and nuns who are killing little children, or Salakia, unaliving little children. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a disgusting thing. And, you know, I bring it up to say, they don't know the number. You know what I mean? They have no idea how many children, you know, were put to death. And for them to even estimate up to 25,000, that means, that lets you know that there's so many children that have gone missing. You know what I mean? That they don't know what's happened to these kids. You know what I mean? To put out a number like that. And who knows what it's going to be a year from now. You know what I mean? These are deaths that are unreported. You know what I mean? And inside Canada, a lot of these children that were running from these residential schools, you know what I mean, they were being found frozen to death, you know, somewhere up north. Because it gets cold as hell in the wintertime in Canada. You know what I mean? These little babies are running from an elementary school and they're freezing to death, you know, by some lake. You know what I mean? And we don't know how many children it is. You know what I mean? We don't know how many children, you know, have gone missing, who are dead, who are in the grave. We just don't know.
Damn right.
You know what I mean? So It's a very disgusting thing that Esau has done. If you
got
could
that
grab
comment?
that, what's that?
So you got that comment?
We got a Toya Johnson.
No, the
Shalom,
last,
sis.
very last one.
We got Queen Elizabeth kidnaps 10 children from Kamloops residential school. I question what she did with them, since all the cannibalism is probably ate them. Yeah, you know what I mean? Again, if you were just having a conversation with somebody and you brought up cannibalism, like you would think it's some kind of joke or it's some kind of horror movie, you know what I mean? Some kind of horror film. But this is in Europeans' history.
Yes, sir.
Like they have always eaten people. You know what I mean? It's a scary reality to come to terms with. You know what I mean? To even be able to make this comment, like, this is not a joke. You know what I mean? These people are full out eating babies, eating human beings. They were saying on those Epstein files, you know, what was it? They're trying to get the kids their adrenaline pumped up before they would eat them. You know what I mean? So that they could have, you know, some different kind of blood in them when consuming these people. Like Esau, Esau is sick. He's beyond a criminal. You know what I mean? This man loves murder. He loves death. And he's been surrounded by it his entire, you know, existence on this earth. If you could grab that precept, Bohan.
Well, while I'm doing that, sir, if I may,
Yeah.
what you gotta understand is that like when we do the lamb slaughter, we want the lamb to be as relaxed as possible, right? Before we do the before we do the unaliving of the lamb, because the we don't want the lamb to tense up because it makes the meat tough. Right. So that adrenaline that pumps through could give it a different texture for the meat, right? With these you know, with them eating these kids. So this is Malachi chapter 1 and verse 4. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolated place. Thus says the Lord of hosts, they shall build, and I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord has indignation forever.
Indignation forever.
Indignation forever.
Like, could you imagine that you're booking a plane flight to, let's say, to China, and as you get in that plane and you're crossing the border, as soon as you cross the border and get into China, you have now entered a land of wickedness. You know what I mean? You enter into a land where every foul thing known to man, you know, is taking place. Sex trafficking, cannibalism, I mean, little girls being trafficked and sexually assaulted, you know, little boys, pederasty, little boys being played with, you know what I mean? Like Epstein Island as a massive continent, you know what I mean? They're sitting in labs, you know, giving chimpanzees crack cocaine, you know, getting it ready to sell to you. Like, this man, this place, Europeans, Esau is the border of wickedness. You know what I mean? And that's why the Lord is going to have indignation to him forever. You know what I mean? Indignation is hatred. It is a strong disdain. You know what I mean? This disdain is going to last forever because of who he is, because of what he does. It has nothing to do with the color of his skin. You know what I mean? Like they'd have you believe, oh, you're racist because you don't like white people. Man, this doesn't have a damn thing to do with your skin color. You know what I mean? We're not children. We're looking at the crimes that you have committed. The thousands of children that have disappeared in these boarding schools. All the crack cocaine you've put in our neighborhoods. All the drugs you're probably pumping in our neighborhood today. You know what I mean? All this weed with 90% THC just destroying our people. You know what I mean? This is a place that is the border of wickedness. And that's why the Most High said, envy not thou oppressor and choose none of his ways.
None of his ways.
Because if we chose none of his ways, we wouldn't get caught up in his fuckery. You know what I mean? Our sisters wouldn't be on stripper poles. You know what I mean? It wasn't the black man that put strip clubs all over the U.S.
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean? That was a white man from Florida fighting for those strip clubs. Fighting, you know what I mean? Fighting so that your daughter that was molested can get up on a stage and men can pay for her because she's been touched by every, uncle known to man. You know what I mean? Like this is a place of wickedness. And history has shown who he is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not sure if you want to touch on anything, Habawan, before we close out.
No, I said what I was going to say, sir.
So with that, Thawada for tuning in. Everybody make sure you like, share, subscribe. Another Monday night history class, you know what I mean, taught by Habawan and myself. All right, make sure you share the classes and tune into Black Watch tonight. Commanding General Yohana, are they live now? I think they're live now.
They should be going live right now, sir.
Yeah, they're going live right now. Tune into Black Watch, Black news, Black, Hispanic, and Indigenous news. It's for our people. And don't miss tomorrow night, scripture breakdown with Captain Hadar Ya'ala at 7 o'clock on the Detroit page. All right, be there. Don't miss it. Shalom.
Shalom, Israel.
Hey, listen, brothers and sisters, man. If you like what you hear, hit the subscribe button, man. Subscribe to this channel. And also, please, go to isubk.com and pay your tithe. Drop me some cash so we can move around this planet like we need to, man, and do the things we need to do.
They're one West. They're one West. They're one West.